guys, it's Sam and this is my spoilery gush video for Truthwitch by Susan Dennard. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, so if you have not read this book, go ahead and check out my spoiler-free review, which will be linked on the screen. So as was obvious from my review, I loved this book. I got this book at BEA and put it off for a while because I had a feeling that I was going to like it, and there's a lot of hype, and I wasn't sure what to do about it, but ultimately, I loved it so much. I'm kind of glad I put it off because now I still have to wait a year for the next book, which really hurts me. But if I had to wait like a year and a half for the next book, that would have been awful. So first let me touch on the world building that I talked about in my review. I found that the world building in the first half of this book was a little clunky, a little much, and there was not a lot of explanation. I enjoyed all the characters that got introduced and all of the different like political stuff that was happening and learning about the different empires and the Dhammas and everything else, but ultimately I felt like I needed more explanation because I wasn't making those connections in my head. I wasn't seeing like, okay, this person belongs to this guild, which is a part of this empire, which da-da-da-da-da. Like, I just didn't know how it all meshed up, and I wasn't sure how they were all affiliated with one another. It just took a while for me to wrap my head around. Also, in addition to the witchery stuff, although I love the witchery, I'm going to talk about that in a second, I was confused because we just kind of get thrown in and we're like, okay, this is this kind of witch, but they can do all these kinds of things. And there's this different kind of witch who's also a part of like this group of witches, and there's just a lot going on. So like I said in my review, I would have liked like an index or like a glossary or something that kind of laid out everything and how people are connected, like who's a part of this empire, who's a part of that empire, what kind of witchery they have, stuff like that, so I kind of knew and could make those connections a little bit easier. But ultimately, later half of the book, after they all take off and they're out away from the city, I feel like the political stuff, although it was still a thing, kind of dropped off, so there wasn't so many characters in one place at one time doing things, so I was able to kind of focus a little bit more on like, okay, this person is from this empire, stuff like that. I really loved the way that magic was done in this book. I like the witchery thing. I like that it has rules and kind of classifications, but there's still a lot you can do with it that, you know, there's different kinds of, like, say, water witches. It's not like all water witches do one thing. You know, there's healers, there's, like, poison witches, and the, like, void witches, and the ether witches, and stuff like that. There's so many different kinds of witches, but they all fall under, like, one big category, and there's, like, subcategories, and little categories from there, and everything. I thought that was really cool. Although we didn't get much of an explanation for, like, how exactly the magic worked, or, like, what it pulled from or anything, I was totally fine with that. I don't need, like, a huge, well-done, detailed, scientifically explained magic system. I liked how this was grouped and how this was done and how there's different groups of them and how different nations seem to have different kinds of witches more commonly and stuff like that. So that was really cool. Now let me talk about the characters at length because, oh my goodness, I am so attached to all of these characters. I said in my review that I cried when they cried, like I got very emotional about stuff. When they were really happy, I was emotional about it. Like, I was attached to Aeduan and Safi from like the very first chapter when they're, you know, having like a heist situation going on. Like, that was instant. And then as soon as we met Merrick, I was like, oh my god, he has a temper and he's basically a pirate. I love him. Then as far as Aeduan, he didn't hit me immediately because I was like, oh, this is the villain who I'm probably gonna like anyway. But like, he's just, oh, like he's a super bad guy from like the void, oh my gosh, like whatever. But then when we had him have his own POV and we got to see from his perspective and who he was, instantly hooked again. Like, as soon as really any character I got in their head and I got their POV, I was like, I am in love with you. I love everything about you. I love that Aeduan's gonna be kind of like a anti-hero, anti-villain. I don't know what he's gonna end up being. I was for sure that he was gonna be like the villain. Okay, this is like a scary blood witch. He's gonna be tracking them. He's the villain. No, don't think so. He's not the big villain. There's actually so many villains in here, so many antagonists, really. And I have a lot of emotions about all of them. So while we're talking about characters and how much I love them, let me just get out of the way that I loved the romance aspect in this book. Oh my god, so much. I was nervous going into it, I wasn't sure, but wow, I really loved the way that Susan handled this and the way that she has 2 slow burn romances in this series. Oh my god. And obviously one's a little more slow burn than the other because I'll talk about that in a second, but I love the different relationships, and like Merrick and Safi, first off, were the first ones that like hit me, obviously, and I can't even with them. Instantly fighting as soon as they see each other, instantly biting at one another, have like the crazy intense dance. I can't even with them. You know, they ignite each other's magic. You know, you have like both of their best friends being like, yo, something's going on. They're both like, no, it's not. I mean, even until the last second before they like kissed for the first time, they were like nothing's happening, I don't like you anyway, blah blah blah. I love that. And I love that also, like, after they first kind of got together a little bit and kind of admitted feelings for one another, they still didn't fully admit them, and then they had to get separated, which I'm all for because it really makes the slow burn, like, last longer. And I also love that we got to see the relationship kind of forming through Isolde's eyes too, because she had that, like, you know, she could see their threads and she would see them forming, and she's like, wow, this could go either way. There's a lot of hate in there, but that's very close to love, and they could be like heart threads, and what does this mean for me, and all this kind of stuff. So I loved their relationship, and their like biting back and forth, and their like shaky ground at first, and how it got into very like trustworthy relationship, everything like that. They are definitely equals, and I really like that about them. Overall, I really loved all the character development of all the characters in here, but Safi's especially. She goes from being a very impulsive, very selfish, she admits that she is selfish, character, to really thinking about other people, to really making decisions for the good of everybody, and not just her own kingdom, not even just like her and Isolde, like everyone. And I really love that, where she understands her mistakes and she's learning from them, and she's trying to do the best she can, and she's like, you know, if I really try harder, I can be so much more than I have been for so long. So I loved that. I love that she's with the Empress. The Empress, who I'm forgetting her name right now, is amazing as a character. She is such a cool side character. As soon as she was introduced as well, and they said like she basically crumbled a mountain when she was 7 years old, I loved her. And I can't wait for her to be more of a main character in the second book. Like, she sounds amazing. And Iron Witch, she's a badass warrior. She like went up against Safi when she knows what Safi can do, and like how much of a warrior Safi is. So I loved her as a character, and how she's a warrior, but she also has this very political mind to her, and that she can outmaneuver seemingly anybody. So I'm really interested to see more of her in the future. But can we talk about my OTP for the series, which is Isolde and Aeduan, because as soon as they tried to kill each other, I shipped it. Like, instantly. I mean, of course, right? Like, she pushes a dagger into his heart, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and she's like, I don't think so. Like, I just can't even with them. I pretty much went to another plane of existence and was like screeching like a pterodactyl when I read that whole scene with them. I was like, oh, a new OTP is born. Yay me, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Yay. So I loved them. They are both very different characters. They both feel like kind of outsiders. I love the very few interactions we got with them, how they kind of saved each other or chose to spare each other. And also, how does he know her language, you know? Like, is he a Nomatsi or is he not? I'm not sure, but the fact that he knew those words to say to her, and that they were words that are said in, like, wedding ceremonies, okay? The ship sails itself. I can't even believe the feelings I'm having from them, and it's going to be a slow burn. Like, if they're going to get together, they're probably not going to get together until, like, book 3, and I'm going to love it, and it's going to be great, and they're going to deny feelings, and I just have a lot of emotions. Just the fact that he's very, like, hot-headed, and he's all over the place, and there's a lot going on with him, and he's very, like, has a mysterious, you know, kind of backstory, and, like, what happened with him, and he's just a really angry person. The fact that she has to remain calm all the time, you know, she's a Truthwitch, and she's always about, like, remain calm, remain calm. It's a perfect balance. I adore them so much, and I can't wait to see more of them. Speaking of Isolde, there's a lot going on with her, and I wasn't expecting there to be so many kind of threads going on. Pun, but not really. It's an unintended pun. But there's a lot of things going on as far as, like, her stuff and, like, her tribe, and then some of the, like, political things going on in the rest of the world, but her stuff obviously connects to all of that, so I'm really interested to see what happens with her, because I think she's kind of the connecting piece to connect everything else. So I think as far as in future books, she's really going to have to battle kind of like her dark side with the puppeteer, because I think she's going to be similar in a lot of ways to who this puppeteer is, and like what they're doing, and how they have this ability to like weave and deal with the cleave, who are super creepy, by the way, and everything. And so she's definitely gonna have to battle this like kind of light and dark side of her, and I love those kinds of stories where she's not sure, and like the darkness is tempting, and she doesn't really know where she fits, and she's hasn't really had a place except for with Safi, and so what's she gonna do? And this puppeteer can like get in her head, and who is this person, and how are they connected to everything? And the fact that like the puppeteer is working with Aeduan's dad, who is like the, you know, conquering king, whoever that person is. So there's a lot of craziness with that. I'm not really sure what's going to go on with that, but that is nuts. And also the whole thing going on with Kurlant and her village, and how he tried to kill her, but then he knew about the puppeteer. So is he bad? Is he good? He was trying to frame her as the puppeteer, so is he working with the puppeteer? What is the tie with that? How are they going to deal with that? Everybody's kind of like abandoned that, you know, tribe, which is basically like dying because he's taking their powers. So what's going to happen with that? Is the curse somehow attached to the puppeteer? Is he working with puppeteer? Everything like that. And the fact that she's not really telling anybody, so like no one can help her with that, it has me so like worried, because also I wondered what happened with her at the end, and I'm sad we didn't get really a chapter with her at the very end like we did with everybody else, kind of seeing what they're doing. And obviously that's on purpose, because her and what she's doing is going to answer a lot of questions about some of the things that popped up in here. But I'm sad because I feel like I wanted to know what was going on and what her plan is, and we don't know, and that's upsetting. So as far as Aeduan, again, I love that he's connected to all of it, even more so than I originally thought, and how his dad is probably going to ultimately be like the big bad. He's going to be the big character. Obviously the puppeteer is like his prized possession, and so there's a lot going on with him and what made Aeduan like turn into this person, this mercenary, and the backstory with like Ivrain, who is also an amazing character, and how does she connect to Azult, and like what happened with that. So she saved her as a kid, but she also saved Aeduan, and what is the connection there? And like that is his mentor, so he owes her a bunch of life debts because she obviously saved him a ton. And what does that all mean? So he can't like kill her, obviously, and he feels very indebted to her. You know, he saved her, which is awesome because I just love her as a character. I've been very upset if she would have died. But yeah, what is all of that? What is his backstory? How does all this connect? How do these things connect? So as far as his whole thing with that smell that he recognized when he was around Leopold, and like Leopold disappeared, and then he had this smell that he recognized and he couldn't find Leopold, and like Leopold disappeared at the end as well. So what does that mean? Is Leopold a glamour witch, or somebody else glamour witching as Leopold in a way that they could actually change their blood scent so that would like trick Aeduan? That's kind of what I feel like it would be, but also I don't really know. It kind of almost felt like for a while I thought that maybe it was her Uncle Aaron was like doing all of this, because he said that he recognized the smell, but that he hadn't thought anything of it before. He hadn't like tried to kind of figure out or like match that smell. So it kind of seems like it could be him, because when he saw Aaron, he was acting like he was drunk again. So maybe that's who it was. Like somebody's obviously tracking them and has been tracking them the whole time. So I'm thinking it's somebody from Safi's group of people that kind of trained her and brought her up, and I think the most likely one would be Aaron, but I'm not sure. So let me know what you guys think about like Leopold and who might be tracking and all that stuff, because again there's so many unanswered questions, which is why I had to do a gush for this, because there's so many things going on and I don't even have theories for it, and I don't know. There's so much going on and we're not going to get any answers for it. It's very upsetting. So again, with that whole thing, since Azult is waiting for whoever we're supposed to meet for the treaty and stuff in that town, she would have had more kind of answers if we would have seen, I wish we would have seen like somebody walk in and be like, okay, so that's who's been tracking or whatever, you know, like that's who has been making sure that the whole like agreement, the trade agreement goes through, so that's probably who was tracking, and that's probably who Aeduan smelled. But I don't know. So the fact that we didn't get anything with her like waiting in the coffee shop or anything is like, so upsetting, because that is where all the answers are going to be. Well, not all the answers, but a lot of the answers. So really upset. So as far as Merrick, again, I adored him, and his relationship with Cullen is like so touching to me, and I was almost in tears basically when Cullen died, or maybe died. I don't know, we didn't really see him dead, right? Like we didn't see his body, right? Right? I mean, I know he cleaved technically, so I think he's dead. But, you know, I always hold out hope that characters aren't dead. Like, I always hold out hope that, like, I haven't seen the body, therefore they're not dead. But their relationship was great as well. I love that we had more than one really strong friendship. You know, we had other, like, thread siblings, you know, like thread sisters and thread brothers and stuff. And we got to see, you know, like, they understand each other so well, Merrick and Safi, because they understand their relationships with their, like, best friends. And the fact that, like, Cullen was such a powerful witch, and he had, like, asthma, is so upsetting. And he did everything he could, and he was, like, you know, when he knew he was cleaving, he was like, kill me, and like Merrick couldn't, and he like, I just had to get away from him, and like, he said like goodbye to him, and like, makes me really emotional and upset, and I don't even know what to think, because I love Cullen as a character, and I like him and River's relationship, and I'm just really upset, and like, where did she go after that? Like, she just took off? Like, obviously, she kind of knew it was coming. They said multiple times that she was kind of resigned to the sadness and everything, but like, what happened to her? Where did she go? The one person that Merrick could go to that will understand his pain after his best friend has died is gone, and I don't even know what to do. Like, what do you do when you lose like the other half of your heart like that? Like, they're like soulmates, like best friend soulmates. I'm really upset. So last thing I'm going to talk about is how Safi and Azult are supposed to be the Kar Awen or whatever. So exciting that they are basically the two people that can like save the world and like reignite magic and kind of bring people together. And they brought the well back, which brought back like nature and life and stuff, and that they can really bring the balance back to magic. And also, though, that poem about them is like, you know, like the Darkbringer and the Lightbringer and stuff like that. It's like, ooh, there's some like deeper, darker stuff going on here. Very interested to hear about that. And also just the fact that, again, with my OTP, that means that Aeduan has to protect Azult. Like, even more than he already is. I can't with them. They're just really important. The fact that like two best friends are the things that are like bringing the world together and that are gonna like bring magic back in full force and the world back to like its rightful alignment. Really important to me, and I can't wait. And there's so many things that are left unexplained. Again, I'm just gonna go on like which I love because obviously I have so many questions. I'm also just like, this is hurting me. I need more answers. There's so many things that haven't been explained. I need to know what's gonna happen. Oh my god. So that's just how I feel about this book. I'm just running around in a panic, like, what do I do? Someone talk to me about it. Everyone read it so you can talk to me about it and all the theories and all the connecting things and everything. How is this all gonna get wrapped up in a trilogy? I don't know. I'm worried, but also excited. And I can't wait to reread this because I'm gonna catch so much again on like a second read through. I'm gonna tab a bunch of things. I'm actually going to order this in a, obviously, like physical me form, not an ARC, because I need to have it to like tab and stuff. And I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I just can't wait to read this and just really comb over it and figure out different connections I didn't make before and stuff like that. So cannot wait. And I'm really sad we have to wait a whole year for Wind Witch. And just excited that it's called Wind Witch because like obviously it's about Lake Merrick and like, yeah, I mean like it's about all of them, but yeah, I need to go because I'm just getting to like a fangirl point in my life. I need to go on Tumblr and like freak out and look at like fan edits, but no one has made me yet because it's so new. So if you're into like Photoshop, get on Tumblr, guys, because I need to reblog things. It's the only way I can recover from this. It's the only way. So comment down below and let me know what you think about all the different theories and all the different connections and everything. Just let me know what you thought of Truthwitch. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all you guys soon. Bye!